I'm I'm delighted to welcome you all today. I really loved the nice warm weekend, and now the fog is back, or somewhat some of it. It's pretty moist out there, but that's okay. Still warmer than was. I'm also happy to welcome Hank Sims, who is the editor and lead developer of the Lost Coast Outpost, a tech-forward, hyper-local news website serving the 135,000 residents of Humboldt County, California, a rural region on the state's north coast, as we call it, behind the Redwood Curtain. An alumnus of the UC Berkeley Graduate School of Journalism, he's written for dozens of California publications, including the Los Angeles Times, from the Los Angeles Times to the Anderson Valley Advertiser. He lives with his wife and his sons in a seismically unstable old Victorian home in Eureka. We hope you don't have issues if we get a big earthquake. And welcome. He also attended HSU initially. So welcome aboard, Hank. It's all yours.
Well, thank you so much, Jane, and I want to thank you all for having me. I was talking a little bit before we started here. I did this 10 years ago when the brown bag luncheon meetings were over at the hospice center in Eureka, and it was just such a beautiful location, and I had a great time doing it. So I want to thank you for inviting me back. Jane asked me to talk a little bit about the Lost Coast Outpost and local media and about like maybe some of the challenges that we face in this day and age of hyper-partisanship and technological innovation, as she said. But I don't have a whole lot prepared. I could probably talk, I could monologue for a long time on the Lost Coast Outpost. But I like conversation better than lectures. So I'm not sure exactly what the mechanism will be. I've got my chat open here, but if any of you have questions, I don't know if Jane, can they raise their hands and butt
Sure, raise your
in?
hands or put it in the chat and I'll monitor the chat for you. But or you can just kind of say something. You can say
Okay, yeah.
question, or you can just stop periodically and say any questions.
Sure. Sure. That's great. I'll try to do that and feel free to remind me if I don't. So we'll talk about the Lost Coast Outpost. It's a website here in Humboldt County. And as Jane said, it's meant to serve the residents of Humboldt County. And I can tell you a little bit about the history of it and what it is we try to do here. So it's been around for 15 years now, a local website, and it's run here in our offices at Lost Coast Communications in downtown Eureka in the what do they call this building? Downtown Eureka in Old Town in the Carson Block building. And we work with four locally owned radio stations. We're all part of the same company, Lost Coast Communications. So it's a locally owned media company, rarer and rarer these days, serving our readership. And so the Outpost, the radio stations have been around for a while. The Outpost, as I said, has been around for 15 years. And the genesis of it was we saw, myself and Patrick Cleary, the majority owner of Lost Coast Communications, saw that it was a time, even then, back then, 15 years ago, when the newspaper industry was facing serious challenges. Not only from the massive consolidation that was going around the nation. Community papers, small town newspapers being bought up by larger and larger conglomerates that didn't always have the community's best interest at mind, but also by technological innovation, by people moving away from newsprint as a means of transmitting information to the community. So it was a pivot point. I think it's only, continued to pivot since then, 15 years ago, when nowadays, people do get their information, as we sort of thought, would get their information more on digital devices, on their computers, on their phones, just because it's such a faster and easier way to transmit information. And so our idea was that the newspaper industry was was suffering then would be suffering more. And what we needed to do as a community was to build something sort of from the ground up to replace what the functions that a newspaper used to serve in in the before days. I like you am over 50 and remember a time when newspapers were really important aspects of any community. Um, and so what we did, we made the website, the Lost Coast Outpost, and because I'm a computer programmer, in addition to being like a writer, I was able to sort of build a thing with my colleagues that we thought would serve some of that function. So let me go ahead and share my screen now if I can. And I can show you a little bit of what I'm talking about just from the website right now. Let's see. There. Yes. Can you all see? Jane, do you have you can see the website? Yes. Okay. So what we have here is, something like akin to what the front page of a newspaper would be, except it's not daily, it's updated all the time. And we have, this is how it's been for a long time. But basically what we have is we have a sort of national story here from Cal Matters about which we often start the morning in with. We have obituaries of local people who have passed. And we have sort of other features like a little we do this thing every day, every morning. We have a sort of database of native species to Humboldt County, and so we pick one that's in season and feature it. But that's sort of filler. I mean not filler, but it's sort of things that make them community. More importantly, we have maybe reporting on what local government agencies and local businesses and the kind of reporting, beat reporting and investigative reporting that newspapers used to be more responsible for. So here's my colleague Izzy Vanderheiden writing about the Great Redwood Trail and the next steps that are coming in Humboldt County. We've had recently also we can say, we've had this sort of investigative report from my colleague Ryan Burns about a bankruptcy. It's down here somewhere. Here's all our recent stories by day that we go through. The bankruptcy at the Humboldt-based social club that's renting from the city of Eureka. Let's see. Anyway, it's here somewhere. We do that kind of reporting all the time. But the other thing that we do, as I sort of hinted at with these nature features that we do, we have sort of we bring in information all the time from public agencies in sort of real time. So we can see that 11:32 a.m. A little bit before we started, there's a power outage in West Haven. It started at 11:21. Customers affected. PG&E doesn't know the cause of it at the moment. There's a one-way traffic control in operation in up on Highway 96. This kind of stuff comes into our website in real time, and we're able to present that uh, to the public and to ourselves because this is how we often get news tips by things happening in the community that we're able to bring in from public agencies into the website so that we so it's using the medium of a digital medium in a way that newspapers couldn't. We're able to inform people sort of in real time, a thing that might be going on in their neighborhood. Here's a report of a suspicious person in Fortuna that came into their 911 call, the 911 center. And we also bring in, headlines from all other news agencies or other sources of information in our community. So that includes KINS Radio. They do a daily news chat show with local people. When that's posted, it comes up on our site. There's another local podcaster who did an interview with the owner of Eureka Books, which I listened to this morning, which was really good. Um, so this is trying to to rebuild and remake the what was the newspaper in sort of a new form, using the strengths of the medium to its advantage. We have videos that we can show. We have we have audio from our colleagues in the radio. We have things like this map right here that shows all the road work going on and all the incidents going on the major highways in our region. We have meetings of local government. Arcata City Council, Fortuna City Council, Eureka City Council are all meeting this week. We have the agendas and the things that will be talked about. And oftentimes, what we'll do is, these things will come up and be posted as they are, and our reporters will come along and look at that everybody has the opportunity to look at it, but we can come along and look at it and write a story previewing the meeting using the materials that we've been able to download from these public agencies, which often government agencies publish their own information in a very sort of a hard to digest format. We try to make it as easy as possible. Um, and so I mean, that's a little overview of what we do at the Lost Coast Outpost. Just this week or last week, we launched this thing that we do every 2 years where people can ask questions of candidates running for office. We brought this back. So we have Evan Schwartz here, who's running for Fifth District Supervisor in this cycle. Our readers ask questions, and he answers them. He writes his response to questions. We provide that forum as well. And as I said, that's in addition to like the normal work of journalism, which is writing about policy, local government policy and how it affects people and like controversies about it, or things that affect the daily lives of people who live here. And we've been lucky. So in 15 years, we've been able to build a thing that an outlet, a news outlet that's now the biggest in the county. We have the biggest newsroom in Humboldt County. We have, I think, the best reporters and the most well-paid reporters doing the serious job of journalism and helping inform citizens of the democracy, the things that are happening in their name. And so we have four reporters or four and a half reporters in addition to myself right now, and I just feel very gratified that we were able to sort of make something that so far has been financially stable and successful, and that we can serve Humboldt in the way that we can. Um, and okay, that's a good time. Any questions so far? I can't see the chat when I'm
Yes,
sharing.
I'm going to ask a question. Uh,
Sure.
Looking right at what you've got on the screen right now, I,
Yeah.
I try to get on Lost Coast Outpost and I never can quite find what I want because I don't know from that top bar what says news gizmos, obits, well, I know what that means, lowdown, nature, weather, elsewhere, marketplace, about. Where do I go for what's the latest of this or that or the other thing? Sometimes it was an earthquake, it was a this or that. Sometimes they're immediate for me to see it, but then I was
Uh-huh.
looking for something else and I don't know how to find it. And I'm old and I find it difficult, but I know you have the best information. Quite often, you're way ahead of everybody else, and I'm delighted to say I'm part of it. But can you talk to me a bit about that?
Sure. I mean, the thing that we find, I think people have caught into this a little bit. but it's a thing that a lot of websites don't have. And for us, I don't know if you can see me highlight this right here. Can you see this?
Right. Okay.
This is like a reverse chronological order of all the major stories we publish. So I'm talking not about like not about like this over here like
Right.
a UPD campus call, but these are the stories or the major things that we post. And so
Okay.
if you look like under recently, like this is everything. So this is I'm pointing with my pen, which doesn't help you too much, but this is everything that's posted so far today.
Okay.
And then you can see this line, and this is what is posted yesterday and Saturday.
Oh,
And you can always go down here to click this more
okay.
button. And then this, you can scroll back in time to 2012 of
Great.
all the things that we've posted. If you miss a day coming to us, we forgive you. But you can always click that more and see everything that we published Thursday, April 2nd.
Right.
Is that helpful?
You're very helpful. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sorry that it isn't obvious to me, but I don't do very much of this, not when it jumps around. So that's very, very helpful. That tells me where I can go and keep on going for 5 days or 6 or 10 or something if I haven't caught up with stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, for
appreciate it.
sure.
I didn't know. I just want to comment also, since we were talking about talking. I didn't understand at all, ever, how many news sources are there, or Patrick Cleary's role, or any of this stuff. So that's new news to me. Maybe I ought to have known about it, but I didn't. I just knew about this thing called Loco sometime, and somebody put me onto it. So, there's bits of information that I got just from somewhere in the ether. I don't know any, didn't know any history, so that's why I'm here today. So
Oh,
thank
great. Well, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm happy that that was helpful. I
Uh,
will say that.
I
Oh,
had
go
a
ahead.
question.
Sure.
Um, well, I this has been so enlightening. I'm new to the area, and this is a absolutely fascinating uh, procedure. One, I was wondering, is this repeated in other communities? And two, I was wondering pretty much how many people would check in on a typical day.
Sure. You know, uh, we've been lucky, I think, and one of the reasons we've been lucky is the fact that Humboldt County is really, really self-interested. It really wants to read stories about Humboldt. We have a really engaged and active citizenry, and I think part of that is being because we're so far away from, a major city that we're not a satellite of any place. I think of some places like maybe in the Bay Area, Concord or, Walnut Creek or Petaluma. These are places where, they feel like satellites of other places. And so I feel like, I think that what we built here is kind of unique in the country, but I know that there are lots of other every lots of other communities, basically every community across the country is trying to tackle this problem, and some of them are, finding other ways to do it, and they're being successful, and that's great. I mean, there's a lot of nonprofit news agencies, trying to make it, as a sort of donation model, as a sort of, almost journalism as a sort of, I won't say charity because it's not like quite like that, but like they're nonprofit agencies there's quite a few of those across the country that are trying to do something of the same thing for their communities. Um, but I do think that we've been able to build, under a sort of for-profit, community-owned and community-focused, but like it's a for-profit model. And so that's kind of where we've ended up. And we were successful, I think, because we get so many people like I didn't catch the previous person's name, people who come to us in the morning. We can look and see our traffic throughout the day, and I see people wake up and just in numbers, and the first thing they do is they check the outpost, and because people know to go here as their community news source. It's difficult to say exactly how many people come to us in a day or a month. I mean, it's variable for one thing. Like one day is, bigger news day than another. But we do use an analytics company. Google offers an analytics product that most websites use to measure their traffic. And, it ends up, we get about 400,000 unique visitors a month, 400 to 500,000. And unique visitors means, it could be a person on their phone and on their computer, but they both check it. But, so there's a lot of traffic that comes from just around the country or around the world to see, because they saw some news, something on Facebook or something that made them to come check out Humboldt News. Or there's a lot of expatriates, people who used to live in Humboldt or hold some sort of feeling for Humboldt that'll come to our site once in a while. But we know that from audits that we have, a significant, really significant portion of the county, our local population, that comes to us every day, or every other day, or often more than 10 times a month. So it's a little bit hard to measure, but it's yeah, but we do have like sort of solid, basically what we around 3.5 million pages. So if you consider this, when I just came here to this website, the homepage of our website, that's one page view. Here, this me clicking on this story that was my colleague Ryan Burns just published, that's another page view. So that we have 3.5 million of those per month about.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
You have
been
a
good.
question. Is there
Sure.
an editorial section?
An editorial, do you mean like editorial in the sense of like
Opinion.
opinion?
That's right.
I mean, not per se. I mean, we do run guest opinions quite often. People will, we like to, there will be, well, there's two answers to that question, I guess. We do run guest opinions of, knowledgeable people who have something to say about a particular issue. We're happy to run those. Then again, there's also always comments on every, people write their own, responses to stories often. Let's pick one here. Here, Eureka City Council may get its first pay bump in decades, but we, the people, will have the ultimate say. So there's always people, we have people can write their response to this story or to the issue underneath every story we publish, basically. Um, so there's that. And then, yeah, we have guest opinion columns sometimes from, somebody who knows what they're talking about, writing about a particular issue.
So do you attempt to be nonpartisan?
Yeah, okay, this is something else that Jane was wanted to talk to us about. I think so. We certainly try to be fair and open-minded to everybody in the community. We try to present our readers with a rounded and full picture of any particular thing that we're writing about. So, but I think that sometimes, when Jane talked about Jane in I don't know if you guys read the introduction that Jane wrote about hyper-partisanship. She says, like, how does local media develop in a hyper-partisan, era such as the one we're living in? And I think that like there there's this is a really I think probably everybody would agree this is a time on our national politics when everything is really there it is hyper partisan. People on either or both or all sides of the aisle. It's a kind of you're with us or you're against us kind of moment on the national stage. So when you say we try to be nonpartisan, the thing is like we really like focus on Humboldt County in particular. And there's this drive, I think, amongst readers to but to view everything through this lens of Republican, Democrat, Trump, anti-Trump. When so many of our issues, we try to resist it. I feel like I actively try, and our writers try to sort of often actively resist this framing of local issues because it's surprising what readers will try to shoehorn into that. So people will call, often people are always calling us partisan because of, I mean, I could almost pick any story. I mean, this, like I said, we ran this from our colleagues at Cal Matters, which is a state news agency, a nonprofit state news agency. Immigrant truck drivers were supposed to get their licenses back. Why California's DMV is stalling, and this is a story just about the fact. But people will attempt to view. Will view our publication of this story as being either like in national political terms around the immigration issue. And it's tough to resist sometimes, but I guess like when you ask if we're nonpartisan, I sort of resent the idea, at least if you're talking about partisanship as a sort of Republican Democrat issue. I resist the idea that local stories on the local level should be viewed through that lens. I don't know if that is that helpful.
Yes.
Okay.
And what is the revenue model for your publication? Is it sustainable?
Yeah, so far, I mean, no one knows what's happening next, but a lot of websites, a lot of websites, yeah, I mean, our revenue model is you can see here, we have advertisements. Here's Pacific View Charter School advertising. Here is the local BMW dealership under this section here. They advertise with us. We have various other things that we do, like we have like this, for example, we have a list of every contractor, every licensed contractor in the county by their specialty, by what they're licensed to do. And so things like, this plumbing company, Northwest Plumbing Solutions, we have they can buy an enhanced listing when so in which they tell their story and show images of their work and contact information. So that's a revenue source for us. Most of our revenue comes from local businesses. We do have, as you can see here, rainwater collection cisterns. I don't know if you see that. That's when there's ads that come in from sometimes from national organizations. We have, we just try to serve readership. And so far, yeah, is it sustainable? I hope so. It has been so far. I hope it continues to be. But we keep trying to innovate and do new things to meet the needs of local businesses, to ensure that it's so. Like one of the things we did, fairly recently are these video ads that you can see here. This is just a house ad for our colleagues at the Point radio station. But we have these, a lot of people, a lot of businesses are making TikToks and such these days. So the idea is that we would, make something that allowed them to share their, here's Ray Conti's auto repair. They have a little thing here. I don't know if I could turn the sound on. But we make places for that. So we keep trying to be useful in the ad sense to local businesses. That doesn't oftentimes businesses get very mad at us and won't advertise with us if when we run a particular story, but there's still enough business that like that there's too many people mad at us at one time.
Um, what use have you made of AI tools, or do you plan to?
That's a great question. Yes, we do use AI tools, and we try to use them in a smart way. I see a lot of news agencies, including local news agencies, which use them in a poor way. What we do here are the main things we do with AI. One is you can see here we have this little button that translates all our stories to Spanish. And so we don't get a lot of use, not a lot of people use this, but enough people do that it, makes it useful for a certain segment, people, monolingual Spanish people or people who would prefer to read in Spanish uh, to English. And AI, your stock AI service is really good enough now. Just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this would be a joke of translation, but now it works really well. And so we have it, so we use it for that. Another thing that we do is I showed you guys a little bit earlier about our meetings, about local city council meetings and such that are coming up. One thing we do is have the AI take what they're discussing, the title of what they're discussing, and as you see here, we have the documents, the what is this? The Fortuna City Council tonight is going to be researching a possible sales tax measure. Um, and so this is the title of the item on their agenda, and they have, supporting materials that we download here, like this. And as you can see, this is a big complicated document. What we have AI do is take that document and summarize it. So here's like an AI summary of the proposal that's before the council. Um, and uh, and the thing is that we wouldn't do this if the AI couldn't do this well. But it does do it well. What I find is that like AI is able to, if you give ChatGPT or another like, a large language model, a big block of text and say, summarize this text, it can do that. So we use it in that format. What AI is not good at, and what we don't use it for, is for thinking or writing. I mean, it writes this, but we will never, at least I don't think, just feed our, raw documents into a chat bot and have it write a story because it's not able to place facts in historic or in proper context. It will invent things. It will make things seem more important or more meaningful than they are. But if we and but we do, we do use it to like summarize things, and we always attribute it. When we say something is written by AI, we say so. The other one other place that we use it is oftentimes in our California Highway Patrol logs. Let's see. Um, this is written, we get these from the CHP's computer assisted dispatch systems. We get this sort of kind of cryptic, hard to read, like non-English jargony information from them. And we've been able to feed that into the AI machine. And again, as we disclose everything, but like to translate that into plain English about what's happening like on the highways. So those are the places that we use it now. Oh, also, and
Which
for
A-
trans. Oh, go ahead.
which AI do you use? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's okay. We mostly just chat GPT. Yeah. And I was gonna say, the last thing I was gonna say is that we use it to transcribe audio, which is also very good at. Like so, when we every week or most weeks we run this segment called the Eco News Report, which is a radio show done by the Environmental Protection Information Center and other local people, and we use AI to transcribe their conversations so that people can read it.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Also, you can, if you're reading it, you can click to the point in that point in the audio, and you can listen to just that part if you want. Thank you. Yeah, we try to be very. It's a little bit of a sketchy thing because we want to inform our citizens and not dupe them. Our readers. but we find that there are tools, yeah, that these tools can be used as tools if you use them appropriately. You just have to be careful about it because you don't want to give people poor information or sensationalized or information out of proper context.
And you also have FM radio stations. What ones and what do they feature? Or what kind of stations are they?
Yeah, these are so here are our stations. There are four radio stations. K-Hum, which is like a sort of flagship radio station, freeform radio. They play lots of, these are K-Hum is the least musicy of these stations. There's a lot of like interviews often. And other things going on there, but this is like sort of modern indie rock, K-Slug, KSLG. We have KWPT, The Point, which is classic rock, KLGE, which is The Lounge, which is not entirely like it's kind of swing music, but like modern. And the guy who runs this is pretty interesting. He has a lot of interesting music to listen to. And you can always, if you're on the website, you can just click them and up pops the little thing and the look, he's playing Bobby Darin right now on the lounge.
That's cool that you can see what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Decide whether you want to open it up.
Yeah.
So you just click on the station and then you immediately listening to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I mean, and you can tune in on your radio too. These are, like I say, FM stations, but I don't know the call numbers off the top of my
I
head.
had no
Sorry.
idea you could do that.
Yeah. 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 Sure.
Okay. Ross asks, I'm interested in how you think about trust. As a frequent visitor, I appreciate that my time and attention feel respected. I imagine that trust is built through many small, deliberate decisions. How do you approach shaping the Lost Coast Outpost to earn and sustain that trust? That's a dilly, Russ. Ross.
Yeah, that's a big question. But I think you're right. I think it's built over time, and especially like when you're there's lots of stuff on the internet, and sometimes sometimes I feel as though I have to answer for the entire internet. But I think that the way we build trust is by doing our work seriously, sort of day in and day out. And not to say that we don't have fun. There's a lot of like goofy stuff we do on the outpost too, but I think by being human and by being accessible, that those things help a lot. In the old days, of newspapers, it was really like a one-way delivery system. The newspaper wrote for you, and it was like a little bit of a trick for the communication to happen the other way. In this day and age, it's so easy. Like people can email us, they Facebook message us, they call us on the phone. And so by answering those things and by being people and being upfront and honest about like what it is we're doing or trying to do with a particular story or in general, and in venues like this, when you can call me and see that or I can talk with y'all and you can see that I'm a human person like that helps the main thing, as with all journalism, is owning your errors. When you make a mistake, you don't try to hide it. You try to correct it as thoroughly as you can. I think that builds trust too.
Do you actively seek out particular stories and topics?
Well, we have. Sure. I mean, we have, I would say, our reporters each have their interests or their sort of areas that they're covering. Like my newest colleague, Sage Alexander, who used to work at the Times Standard and came to work for us last month, he is, writing about courts and criminal justice a lot. My colleague Isabella Vanderheiden writes about the city of Eureka. My colleague Ryan Burns writes about county government, among other things. All of them write about other things as well. My colleague Desmond Remington writes about Arcata a lot, but and they're meant to like sort of like hold down, see the important things that are happening on those beats, and to make sure that they're covered. Um, I would frame it more, I guess, in terms of things that we avoid. There's topics that we sort of like don't cover, and lately, since, yeah, for a long time. I think lately what we've been trying to move away. It's easy on the internet for, sensational, like, things that aren't so important but like cause you to gasp. Um, we're trying to move away from that. We're only trying to publish the things that make you gasp if they are also important, if that makes sense.
It sure does.
Okay.
Sensationalism sells. However,
Yeah,
you
it's
get
it's a
enough
it's
business
a
without it. Why not?
yeah, it's empty calories in some sense, you know.
Did the ads include audio?
Some of them do. I don't know if you can listen to my thing, but these ads that we have here, here's a commercial broker by, yeah, I can turn on. I don't know, could you hear that?
No.
No. Well, yeah, some of the ads have these video ads have audio that you can turn on if you like.
Oh, so you have the option to turn them on or off.
Yeah, they start off. You have to actively turn them on.
How do you do that?
Yeah, by clicking this little button right here. See in the top right?
Oh, okay.
You see
Thank
that?
you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you. Um, People in Humboldt are interested in local history, but many are unaware that the Society of Humboldt County Pioneers will be celebrating 150 years of existence as the oldest historical organization in Humboldt County this year.
Wow.
Celebration will be a catered function on, I think this is an advertisement,
It's fine. That's fine.
on May 8th at the Eureka Women's Club around noon. Final plans are being made uh, this week for the catered event. You do not need to be a member to it. This is definitely an ad.
That's fine. That's fine.
Will
That's a cool
be
thing.
Friday, April 10th at a noon potluck at Eureka Spiritual Center at the corner of Boone and Williams with a speaker on Humboldt history. We meet, this is the longest one we've had. We meet the second Friday of the month except for July and August with speakers.
That's super cool. I love it. And I would encourage that person to go to, you see the right here, the lowdown, or you can scroll down here. We'll go down here. The Lost Coast Outpost lowdown, which is our calendar of events. So everybody can always go here, see what's going on today, see what's going on tomorrow, Wednesday, or any day that they like, by picking a day there with a calendar. It's like what this person should definitely do, if they haven't already, is to go click this button right here that says submit your event. Yeah, see that one?
Cool.
And then what they should do is put this, fill out this sort of simple form here, and then your event too will be listed on the Lost Coast Outpost Lowdown for all to see what's going on. Look at here, we got an OLLI class. I happened to randomly land on one when I was choosing around for days.
Trouble is, it's full, I think,
Oh well,
but you can
well,
check it out.
yeah.
Um, did you lose a lot of federal funds or any at all?
No. I mean, we never had federal funds. We haven't had any. I mean, during COVID, I think we got like the pandemic loans, like all other businesses did. But we're not a government funded operation.
Yeah. Dave Ryan asked, or comments, I would prefer that anything generated by or employing AI be somewhere stated conspicuously, just as we know what was created entirely by humans or assisted by AI. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think that we do that. I don't know if it's conspicuously enough for the gentleman, but when we do have something that is generated by AI, such as Arcata City Council, well, there's nothing here because there's a short meeting, but like this, I mean, it does give. I mean, that to me is like the universal sort of citation, the saying where it comes from. But I don't know if it's not conspicuous enough for him, but he knows now. Yeah. Has he got more?
Close, sorry. Deborah Hartridge wants to know, how would you advise a young person today who wants to go into journalism as a career?
Oof. It's a tough one. I mean, it's definitely, we're fortunate. I've known we have young people here, and we've had young people come through here and go on to other things. It's a tough industry right now. It's really in contraction. I think maybe we've sort of bottomed out. That people are starting to figure out new things to do and new ways to do it and new ways to make a living at it. But it's tough. It's really tough. I guess what I would say to somebody uh, wanting to make a career in it is be prepared for the first few years to be pretty poor, and to just take every opportunity you can, and to try different things and to go different places. And I would say the last thing is it would be useful for you to learn a little bit of computer stuff, HTML, or even better, like some programming languages, Python or JavaScript. Those would be they are very helpful, I think, and they'll give you a skill set. They're not that hard, and they'll give you a skill set that other people don't have.
Who teaches that?
I mean, you can take classes or you can just do like I did and learn yourself. There's the internet is a huge place. You can learn all kinds of things.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Going back in history, were you together with Patrick Cleary in the beginning when all this was initiated? And did it turn out as you anticipated?
It turned out, yes. I mean, yeah, Patrick is still the majority owner of the company, and he was at the time when we started 15 years ago. And yeah, it's turned out much better. I'm really grateful. It seems kind of lucky, but our you know I think that we were smart and that. When we started it, the radio stations already existed, and so they already had an ad sales staff. So this just gave them, an internet newspaper, an internet website about Humboldt County. This gave them something new to sell. If I didn't have that, I would never be able to do that. Um, so that was good. And I say like I think we're lucky in that we live, this is yet another reason why we're lucky that we live in the place we do, is that there's great interest in, like I said before, in local matters. Like local people really care about what happens in Humboldt County. And so we have an audience. And we're lucky in that the main daily news paper in the county still is owned by an out-of-town hedge fund that really could care less about Humboldt County, and
And it's gotten so expensive.
has
It's
gotten so expensive.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, I mean, it's such a crazy way. It was always kind of crazy, but it made more sense back then to deliver information. I mean, you have to mow down Canadian forests and pulp them into and go and like run, make newsprint out of them and to physically print the words out on paper and deliver it to people's doors. It is not very efficient in this day and age. It's not a very efficient way to live.
What would you like to see happen with the outpost that isn't happening? What
Well,
amenities would you like
okay.
to add?
I mean, I would always like more reporters. I mean, there's always stories. I think we do pretty well at like covering the main stories that are most important to residents of Humboldt County. But there's always more. I mean, I would love to have, we had at one time, and I would love to have again a reporter specifically devoted to education, schools, another one on healthcare, another one on business and the economy. I mean, if we can keep, if we can keep bringing in revenue, and if people keep supporting us, not in a charitable way, but like as long as the community keeps supporting us, and if we can keep growing, it actually, most of our costs all this, the website, it, the physical infrastructure of it, it costs almost nothing. It costs almost nothing for us to publish and print, and distribute our work. So we're able to pay almost everything that we get on salaries, on people. And I think that's the answer that I got to give you. What I would like to see the outpost become is I would like even more people to do even more work. How are we doing?
Sorry, I seem to have a call. Are there any other
Oh.
questions
Mhm.
from anybody? Now's your chance. Do you have anything you want to add, Hank?
No, I mean, I think I covered it. I mean, when you talked about like you gave me the challenge of talking about the local media in a time of hyper-partisanship and a technological, great technological change. And yeah, I think that throughout, I was able to say what we're trying to do, at least in those terms, or the challenges we face in those things. No, so I guess that's pretty much it. If nobody has other questions, yeah, that's all I got.
Well, that's been great, and I really appreciate it. That was very informative, and I will begin to watch Lost Coast Outpost because I
Great.
get the papers and, yeah, online and such. Anyway, I want to let you know that next week we're going to have Natalie Arroyo talk about political engagement at the local level, and you can get an overview of ways to participate and in the political process at the local level. So we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all coming, and thank you, Hank,
Thanks,
for
Hank.
putting
Hey,
this.
For sure. It's
Great
a great pleasure.
presentation.
it took me a
Great.
second to get my headphone on here, but we did have Cheryl who asked if
Oh,
somebody wants to contact you because they're interested in writing for the Lost Coast, how would they go about that?
just send us an email, news@lostcoastoutpost.com.
Okay,
Mm.
perfect. We'll go ahead and pass that along. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care,
Marie.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.